What's up guys, it's Scoopman5000. Today we're back for another action figure review. We're looking at the Star Wars The Black Series Gaming Greats Jango Fett. And so this is kind of dual purpose. You get another Gaming Greats figure, and there's also a way for a lot of collectors to get a Jango Fett because the original is kind of old at this point. And while the colors here are slightly different, a bit more accurate to that old video game, I think this will work for most of us collectors as just their Jango Fett on the shelf, and that's what it's going to be for me. So the box here is what we've been getting with Gaming Greats. It's the standard Black Series box, but instead of the red backgrounds that we're getting, we're now getting a colored background that themes with the game. And I guess this is completely different from the newest Black Series that's going to be going forward, where they kind of color coded by movie. But this Jango Fett still uses that older style, so you can see it's the Jango Fett render done in blue, as well as the text. On the right side, you're getting a nice blue side with Gaming Greats Jango Fett. On the side, you're getting the black motif with his name on the bottom. And then on the back, you get the same render, and then you're getting a read-up, which says Star Wars Bounty Hunter follows Jango Fett, the most fearsome bounty hunter in the galaxy, as he pursues an unhinged dark Jedi named Komari Vosa. But overall, that covers packaging, so now let's get to it, and let's open up Jango Fett. And here's Jango Fett taken out of the packaging. As for his accessories, it's a bit slim, but everything you're going to need with Jango Fett. We'll start out with his dual pistols, the iconic pistols that he used in Attack of the Clones. They're actually a very solid plastic, which you look at them, you could be a bit concerned about them warping or something like that, but they're pretty solid. You could play around with them, and they're not really going to bend that easily. And then he also does come with the jetpack, and this is kind of definitely stylized after the video game, but it looks good. It's vibrant, it pops, and if you don't want this to be like a video game Jango Fett, it's going to be behind him for the most part. You're really just going to be seeing the silver rocket out the back. And for the rockets here, you can actually fit some Marvel Legends pieces here for like blast effects if you want. That's a pretty good effect there. And then if you want to count his helmet as an accessory, you can get a better look at that. And it's removable, which reveals the Tamara Morrison head sculpt. And it's a bit shiny on this one, I've noticed, but it still looks good. We've gotten his likeness a few times in the Black Series. The only figure I have to compare it with is Rex right now. And they both look kind of different. I don't know which one I like better. I feel like if you combine these two, it would be perfect. This one has much better paint, but maybe the sculpt is a little bit better on this one. But it's kind of hard to tell because of the hairstyles being so different. But I think that the Captain Rex head is a little bit better overall. It actually looks much smaller, which is pretty interesting. But these guys are going to be helmeted anyway on most people's displays, so we'll go ahead and put it back on Rex. And the same for Jango Fett. It looks like I got a bit of a scratch on his visor here. That's kind of unfortunate, but other than that, the colors pop. The metal looks very good. It's not quite a chrome that Jango Fett had in the movies, but it's good enough. It's definitely not cheap looking like a lot of metals can look. Jango Fett's one I'd love to see a carbonized figure of. I know we've gotten Boba. A lot of people have him already, but I'm still waiting on my pre-order. Of course, he's wearing that Kaminoan blue undersuit, and then he's got the Mandalorian armor over it. And if you're a Clone Wars fan, you know that he's actually not a technical Mandalorian. He's not part of that tribe. He just kind of stole the armor off of somebody he presumably killed. But that's more recent history for a lot of us growing up on the prequels. This was our Mandalorian. Boba Fett, he's awesome, but Jango Fett was just the one that we had of choice because that's what we grew up on. And I'm definitely in that boat. I love them both, but I do prefer Jango Fett. I like the color scheme better. And nowadays, there's a third Mandalorian in the mix, and this is definitely a lot of people's favorite nowadays. His belt is a separate piece. It's a bit of a softer rubber. You got a bunch of brown pouches here, leading into some gun holsters, and you can actually fit his pistols in there, which is always a good touch. I love me some weapon storage, and you can get that good with both pistols stored onto Jango Fett's legs here. On the back, you can see where that jetpack hooks in. You see the pegs match up. So we'll go ahead and actually attach that. We'll leave it on the figure for most of the review. And yeah, I really do like the jetpack. It definitely looks stylized. It doesn't look necessarily right out of the movie. I actually don't know if the original even had the jetpack. The shoulders here, you got the armor plates. These are part of the sculpt, but because of the kind of cloth sculpt of the upper torso, it kind of slides right in. It doesn't get in the way of articulation at all. And the articulation is also pretty well hidden because of his wrist gauntlets here. These have the rockets that come out. Unfortunately, nothing really removable or articulated here. And then you do get some kind of piping here that leads into the armor for those rockets. And it's made of a decently durable plastic here, and it bends just about as much as the articulation does. But maybe if you got people playing with these hardcore, these might break. But right now, they seem to be pretty solid. Down at the legs, it continues that kind of Kaminoan fatigues on there. And then with the silver armor plates on top, you see some very good detail on the knees here. And I wish I had the original Jango Fett to kind of compare what might be reused, but to me, this is all brand new. I don't have that original. And then it's Black Series, so you don't really get a boot cut on the bottom. And then the feet are always a bit small on Black Series. I feel like that's probably my biggest gripe. It's just they're a bit hard to stand sometimes just because the feet are small. Maybe it's more realistic, but for standing these guys up, it can be a pain sometimes. For Jango Fett's sake, he's nice and heavy. He's not really going to go anywhere. Seems to be standing vanilla pretty easily. Going over his articulation, we'll take off the helmet for that sake. The head's on a ball joint and a hinge, so it's going to be looking all the way back. and it's going to go down. You want to see it with the helmet. The looking back is a bit limited, but it's not bad. You're just going to see a little bit of his face underneath. And he can bury the chin pretty decent. The shoulders can swivel a bit tight, and then they're on a hinge. You get the elbow joint that goes about 90 degrees, and then the hands are going to hinge and swivel. Unfortunately, they're not up and down. They probably should be because they're pistol holding hands. Then you got a waist cut, which rides a little high, but it does work with the sculpt here. You get a decent split. It might be a little bit blocked by these holsters here, but nothing too bad. You do get the upper thigh cut, again, maybe a little bit limited. He's got a nice and tight double jointed knee, goes all the way. And then the foot is on the hinge, and then a pretty good ankle rocker as well. And that covers Jango Fett, so now let's get to it and do some comparison. For some more gaming greats, we have the Battlefront Shock Trooper and then the Force Unleashed Stormtrooper Commander. And these are probably my top 3 from the gaming greats figures and probably of Black Series as a whole. The Shock Trooper is actually what got me into Black Series, and these are both using that recently retired Stormtrooper mold. And you can see it stacks right up height-wise with this Jango Fett. And then for some prequel era characters, we got the Archives Darth Maul and then the Captain Rex. And you can see Rex and Jango Fett should be the same height because, of course, Rex is a clone of Jango Fett. And then Darth Maul stands just underneath them. And then for some more Mandos, we got the Mandalorian carbonized, and then we also have the heavy infantry Mandalorian. And so for these two, you can see the proportions are way different, so putting them next to each other actually looks kind of weird. It doesn't look like they're even in the same line. The Mandalorian has a much smaller helmet, and he's also a lot sleeker of a body overall. I don't know the height difference between the Mandalorian and Jango Fett in terms of the actors, but you can see that Mandalorian definitely does stand a bit higher. His legs are even a bit more spread, so he might even be just a little bit taller than Jango Fett if you had him standing perfectly straight. But it's interesting enough to note. And honestly, I think the Boba Fett is even different in terms of those proportions. I wish I had Boba Fett to compare here as well. I have the Empire Strikes Back on pre-order from Walmart, and then the carbonized version from Big Bad Toy Store, and neither of those have shipped. I expected to get those way before I ever got this Jango, but here we are. And overall, that's going to do it for your look at the gaming greats Jango Fett, and for me, it fills a big gap in the collection having a Jango finally, and I can reunite him with his clone son Boba Fett as soon as at least one of my pre-orders comes in for a Boba Fett figure. But yeah, gaming greats, a great line, and I'd love to see them do as much as possible with it. Maybe even like some Star Wars Dark Forces or Jedi Knight characters would be cool. If they want to do Battlefront and give us some more unique Stormtrooper designs, I'd be all for that. And even if they did the classic Battlefront 2, you could re-release some popular characters just under the gaming greats line. So overall, I think it's a great way to get some reuse in the line, but give us popular characters and repaints that people actually want. I want to know what you guys think of this figure. If you already have the Jango Fett, do you think it's worth picking this one up? As always, I'm going to leave it off with some figure photography, and you can see more of that over at Instagram, scoopman_5000. If you like these kind of reviews, you want to stick right here on the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.